I started producing world fusion music in the 90s, just after I came back from Cuba. I was always working on putting Eastern artists with Western artists, working the fusion, not like a Campbell soup where you're putting the things in the can and that's it. No, I mean, it was work in the smallest details. It was a work where it was not like it had to be done in few hours because of production problems and production budget. I always thought that this kind of project is like recreating in vitro what could have been done in vivo. Like what happens in, for example, the project of Hanin y Son Cubano, that is a fusion of Arabic music and Cuban music. I imagine, what if the Arabs went with Christopher Columbus to Cuba and met the Indian Siboneyes of Cuba, the African culture that came with the slaves that were brought by the Spaniards to Cuba, and there was this meeting of Spanish culture, African culture, American Indian culture, and Arabic culture. And this is how I worked this project. So usually, for example, Afro-Cuban music was born after a few hundreds of years of encounter of different cultures. But I had to recreate in my musical laboratory what could have happened, but in maximum 1 year. And this is what happened. So when you listen to it, it's not like a monster that have two heads. It's not like forzado. It's not something that you push and it does not want to work, but you are pushing it to work. No, it's something that sounds natural, that sounds normal. So when I started doing these fusions, I thought that it would be good if I had my own theater, because I felt even in the 90s when CD was booming that it's good for a producer to have the entire chain, like from producing the artist to managing his concerts, releasing his albums, and also being able to provide him a space where he can give his concerts when he does not have a tour, or between two albums when his career is a bit not doing very well. It would be interesting to be able to present him somewhere, and this somewhere was MusicHall. So that's when I started 10 years ago to look for theater and to create the MusicHall of Beirut, and it has been doing very well since 2003. We started in 2002 preparing. 2003 we opened, and the success is still here. We're franchising it. I had a lot of demands for example, Sao Paulo. I had people asking for MusicHall in Spain, in London, but I do not want to give it as a franchise. When you're franchising hamburgers, you just give them the meat and the bread, and that's it. But here, it's art. I mean, you cannot give just the name and tell them do whatever you want, or book whomever you want, or so I cannot have 10 music halls at the same time, except if I take the time of working it one after the other, creating a team that will be able to make the follow-up. We were ready to open in Dubai, in Qatar first, and Dubai in 2008, but when the crisis came, it changed everything. It was not the appropriate time. We waited for 3 years, and we restarted working on it in 2011, and it will open in September. And we're working also on a music hall in Istanbul. I believe that Istanbul is an amazing city, and that betting on cultural projects there, on music, on nightlife, is a kind of resistance also. I cannot open 10 music halls at the same time. The one of the music hall of Beirut is doing very well now. I have a team that is able to manage it and that has been able for the last 3-4 years. That's why we were ready to open in 2008, that is ready to handle it. So I can move to another one and work on it, and later on, but it's not like I can give 10 franchise at the same time and tell them go and open and manage it.
That's fine, that's good.
I'd like to add that when they say devil is in the details, it's very true. In this business, devil is in the details. It's small things that make all the difference. Sometimes in the lighting, sometimes in the sound, sometimes in programmation, in the way the artists are dressed, in the lighting of the, not only the stage, of the venue, in the coaching of the waiters. When you are a waiter in a pizzeria, it's not like being a waiter at the music hall. Like the waiters have to know when they can move, when they cannot, and they have to know when they can answer the client or not. I mean, it's small things that take a lot of training. My competitors are working by fashion, like and when you are a fashion victim, you have to keep on following the fashion, because the definition of fashion is what will be out of fashion next year. So when you enter this cycle, you have all the time to change the place and change the decoration and see what lighting is a trend now, what music is the trend. I never was interested in fashion. Usually what I do becomes a fashion after I do it. Like when I started doing Cuban music in Lebanon 13, 14 years ago, when I came back from Cuba, it became, after that, I became disgusted myself from Cuban music, because it became so fashionable that I dropped it and I closed my club that was called Amor y Libertad, that used to take 1,000 persons, and that was dedicated to Cuban culture. So I am someone who's very allergic to fashion, and this is what allows Music Hall to survive and to stay a place where people go, because it's not a matter of fashion. It's classical, it's in parallel of fashion. Fashion comes and goes, but Music Hall is here to remain. No, but it's when I speak about the life of a club in Lebanon, it's 2 years, 3 years, and then they move to another place. They make a relaunch, and people go to see the new thing. But Music Hall have been here for 10 years, so it proved that if this kind of problems would have had to happen, it would have happened 7 years ago, maximum 6 years ago or 5 years ago. But from day one till now, nothing changed in the decoration of the Music Hall, nothing changed in the musical taste. Bands come and go, but a Spanish band is replacing another Spanish band, a Cuban band is replacing a Cuban band, but the programmation line is still the same. If I make the same lineup, it will not work. If I put as many Arab bands as here, it will not work. But in London, I will get a band, I replace one of the Arabic passage by a band coming from the islands, from Aruba or from I don't know where, because you have a lot of people coming from this background in London. I will get a band coming from Jamaica, and Arabic will be one act only. It's not like here. And in Dubai, for example, I'm sure that I will take into consideration the local music. I would never program a band coming from Dubai, like you have the Pearls Fishers who make a kind of music in Dubai that would not be attractive at all for Lebanese living in Beirut, but it would be attractive in Dubai for the people of Dubai and for the foreigners living in Dubai. They would like to hear the music of this country where they have been living for months or years, and yet they do not know what kind of music is being played in this country, or used to be played in this country, because it's totally forgotten. So I will stage traditional music of Dubai in a music hall of Dubai. The advantage that I have is that maybe if you have to watch an entire concert of this kind of music, you'll get bored after half an hour. But at the music hall, they'll come on stage for 5 minutes, and that's it.